Hello and welcome to this special afternoon edition of Cricket Monthly, and apologies for popping up so early in the day. A warm welcome also to my guest this afternoon, Barry Richards, our South African expert in the commentary box this year. But now let's crack on and see what we've got for you this afternoon. We look back at the first test, triumph for Michael Atherton, frustration for Alan Donald. Graeme Hick joins the elite, those who have made 100 hundreds. Next in line, maybe, is Mike Gatting. Just how tough a job is it to captain one's county? Just how onerous are the duties of that vital cog, the 12th man? And finally, we go back 20 years to relive a remarkable match for Ian Botham. Now, the first test came to a soggy end at Edgbaston. Not a ball bowled on the final day, and we'll never know whether England would have been able to turn a good position into an opening victory. Here now are some of the highlights from that initial encounter. Michael Atherton looked a different man, freed from the burden of captaincy, and celebrated his first match back in the ranks with a classy century. Dominic Cork was also celebrating. With Darren Gough unable to bowl, he filled the breach admirably with a 5-wicket haul in the South African first innings, backed up by the ever-dependable Angus Fraser. For Darren Gough, one spiteful delivery meant it was a painful return to Test cricket for him. He'll be out for some weeks yet. For the South Africans, Jonty Rhodes played beautifully at number 6, suggesting that the best years of his Test career are nigh. His partnership with Lance Klusener made sure that South Africa avoided the follow-on. The latter's heavy bat and uncomplicated technique proved mightily effective. But Alan Donald, despite being on something akin to home territory, struggled both with his radar and a troublesome ankle. So England 462 in their first innings, good innings from Atherton and Butcher. In their second innings, pressing for a declaration, they were 178 for 8 when the rain came on the final day. South Africa 343 in 3 good innings, Rhodes 95 outstanding. Cullinan played beautifully for his 78, Callis 61, and Dominic Cork coming back with 5 for 93, match drawn. The South Africans, though, would have felt that some good match practice was in order after their below-par performance in that first test. They went to Trent Bridge and beat Notts in a one-day match, then headed south to Sussex, hoping for a 3-dayer. Fiona Stevenson followed them there.
After rain washed out the first test at Edgbaston, the South Africans travelled down to this gorgeous ground at Arundel to prepare for the second test at Lord's, hoping only for some beautiful English summer weather. Inclement the weather may have been, but this at least gave Hansie and his teammates time between coffee and card games to reflect on a less than satisfactory start to the first test.
I thought after winning the toss, we were obviously disappointed that they got 250 runs for the loss of only 1 wicket. But I suppose if you look back to the last 3 years, our opening attack of Donald and Pollock have bowled really well for us, and this was just a bad day for them and a bad day for the team. Even the backup bowlers couldn't control the ball that well, so I suppose it was one bad day in a 2 or 3 year period for us. Overall, a little bit disappointing on the first day, not getting more than 1 wicket. But I was happy to be able to come back on days 2, 3 and 4 and play a lot better.
Although Donald was hindered throughout by an injured ankle, Pollock's bowling was markedly improved in the second innings.
I thought I bowled pretty well, probably a touch too short. I did beat the bat a couple of times. I got some 16 runs, you can't really call that runs. So my performance was probably not right up there. And as I say, hopefully Lord's is the big occasion for most touring teams when they come to England. Hopefully by the time this test comes around, they'll be ready to go.
Where there's Dickie, there's rain, and this match is no exception. Memories of English summers came flooding back to Bob Woolmer. But one man who is always up, come rain or shine, is the dynamic Jonty Rhodes. Unlucky to miss his 100 at Edgbaston, he's now proving himself to be more than just a one-day player.
I've been really excited about the way I've been playing. I'm a fairly excitable kind of bloke, so it doesn't take much to get me excited. But I've had a good season in South Africa with one-day cricket, and then again the start with the one-day series here when we arrived. And I think now I'm probably playing my best cricket, not only hitting the ball well, but thinking about the game. In fact, I think I'm thinking less, which is often the problem when you think too much when you're in the middle. That's when things go wrong. So I'm just going out there, playing one ball at a time, and I think it showed. There was never a situation where I tried to do something when the ball wasn't right, which is the way in the past I've got myself out. You start premeditating a shot before the bowlers bowl the ball, and you get yourself in all sorts of trouble. So I think sort of the mental maturity hopefully is now coming through in my game.
South Africa finally managed to get some practice in yesterday at Lord's. The one man who was unable to bowl due to the damp conditions was Alan Donald, although coach Bob Woolmer was quick to play down talk of a serious injury problem.
Yeah, he's had a recurring injury in his ankle, his inflammation of the joints. It's something that's manageable. It's not operable. It's something that is caused by footholds that he lands in. As soon as they become not elevated but downwards, slope downwards, it hurts his foot. So we have to make sure the footholds are pretty good. But essentially it's manageable, and 99 times out of 100 balls he doesn't feel any pain at all, so there's nothing to worry about.
Well, Barry, what about that first Test performance? A disappointing first day, as they admitted. What makes a bowler like Alan Donald or like Sean Pollock bowl badly or fail to take advantage on a day like that?
I think they really got too excited about it. I mean, they saw this wicket and they won the toss. Now, I mean, you can imagine the sort of build-up the hour before and looking at the track because of the lead-in. I mean, it wasn't Steve Rouse's fault. I mean, it was some terrible weather leading in, so it was always going to be damp. And both sides, gee, you're really excited about this. We can't wait to get him in. And I think they were too pumped up. They were really, first Test, really want to get away to a good start. And suddenly, they were straining, and rather than just getting the rhythm right. And I think that showed all day.
But that's something which the layman just doesn't understand, because, I mean, here we are, we've got two of the best bowlers in the world, and the assumption is that they know exactly what to do. They've been there before, and they'll steady themselves, say, OK, let's just do it as we do it normally, and they'll do it, but they didn't. They got better in the second innings, though, didn't they? They did get the hang of it a bit more. Yeah,
I think especially Sean Pollock. I mean, he bowled a lot fuller. I mean, I think they got so excited when it moved around, but they were bowling a sort of South African or Australian length, which is a bit more bounce. And, the ball was going away, albeit a bit slow, and it just had time to adjust. And I think that's that made it a little bit more comfortable for Atherton. He knew as soon as it moved, he could do that. Whereas if you bowled it a yard fuller, it was always going to be difficult. I'm sure they talked about it, and I think, when you get into that rhythm of bowling that wrong length, it's very hard to get out of it, and that's what happened. But they went out in the second day, and of course they bowled England out basically for just over 200, which should have happened in the first inning, or on the first day.
What about this Alan Donald injury or non-injury? It seems that Bob Woolmer's happy to play it down. There was obviously something there in the first Test bothering him. Do you think it's? I mean, how genuine do you think this is? How much of a problem it's going to be?
He had it in Australia, and I think he's had a couple of cortisone injections for it. But I mean, he's a very tough man, and he wants to bowl well, and he's the leading wicket taker for South Africa, and he wants to put that somewhere up there where it's going to be very difficult for anybody to pass him. I mean, he's obviously a premier fast bowler, but Lance Klusener, I think, in many ways is contributing to this. I mean, I'm nothing against Lance, a lovely bloke, but where he lands and where Donald lands, it's just slightly different. So there's a little bit of overlap where the foot lands, and that's what's causing that problem. So he's not actually landing on flat all the time. So he's got one of two things. He could either run up and try and bowl from a slightly different position, which is makes it more difficult mentally to cope with it, to run slightly sideways, or he's got to land in this foothold, and either way, it's Hobson's choice, really.
Well, thank God we never had to bowl. On the batting front, I mean, with two batters, we can discuss this with more confidence. Jonty Rhodes, who has been classed a one-day player for so long, I thought he batted beautifully.
Yeah, unfairly, I think. I mean, he's a great contributor in the field, and I think we all know that. I mean, his fielding has been, he's plus 20 or 30 at least before he actually gets in. I think his problem in the past was a lot of soft dismissals. One-day dismissals, basically following it out there, or trying to play a paddle shot far too early, and got 6 or 10 or something. The immediacy of one-day cricket was sort of transforming into Test cricket. I think he's much more selective of the shots he plays. He's starting to find out where his off stump is and making the bowlers bowl to him. And all those things combined with a more positive attitude are making him very effective at number 6.
You had a theory as well that his hockey, which he used to play to a very high level, was affecting his cricket and is no longer doing that. Is that right?
Well, I mean, I didn't play a lot of hockey, so I'm probably not speaking with a lot of authority. But you tend to have your hands apart on a hockey stick, and you control. A lot of the control is, angling like that rather than straight. And I mean, it must have some effect, because I mean, he was a superb hockey, international hockey player. And I mean, it's just something that possibly creeps in every now and again when you're trying to be inventive in a one-day game.
And also, I suppose, is that truncated swing of a hockey swing, which is different to the cricket swing. Well, he played well.
And he did.
No bones about it. He did play well.
No, it was a super. I mean, that's the best I've seen him play in Test cricket. He's fantastic.
Yeah. OK, well, England announced their squad on Sunday, sticking to the same formula as before, except for the one change enforced by Darren Goff's injury. Dean Headley is likely to make the final 11, just ahead of Chris Silverwood, who is added to the squad. England are keen to maintain the edge they had in that first test and make amends for some poor performances at Lord's in recent years, as Simon Hughes found out yesterday.
It is over.
Visiting teams like the 1994 South Africans seem to rise more to the occasion of a Lord's test than the home side, something England players are well aware of.
You know, Lord's, every country comes here and plays good cricket. They lift themselves for Lord's test match. So we've just got to do the same. This is a home of cricket. This is our home of cricket. And we've just got to lift ourselves here and make sure if we win the toss or whatever we do it well.
Dominic Cork, back from the depths of Derbyshire, really does appreciate the hallowed turf.
I always love Lord's. It's home of cricket. It's you know, representing your country. Walking out on Thursday morning is something that I want to be involved in, and hopefully, as a team, we can do well.
Cork enjoyed a stunning Test debut at Lord's 3 years ago and made an immediate impact on his England recall at Edgbaston, giving the attack valuable extra fizz.
It was exciting that I got back in the side at first, and to be in the final 11 was something that I wanted to do. And you know, to play in a Test match for England and to take 5 wickets is my dream. But you know, there's a lot of hard work left, and hopefully I can reproduce some of that here at Lord's.
Cork may relish a slightly damp-looking Lord's pitch, but whether Kent's Dean Headley or the Yorkshire tyro Chris Silverwood joins him on the field is at this stage uncertain.
There's a bit of confusion when the team was announced on Sunday that everybody immediately jumped to the conclusion that Dean would play and Chris Silverwood wouldn't. We have to look at the state of the wicket, when the game starts, whether from now until Thursday morning, and we'll be selecting from the 12. So, you know, they've both got chances to play, but it would be wrong to assume that it's set in stone that one will play and one won't.
England slumped at Lord's last year after a great first test, but their recent spirit at Edgbaston looks longer lasting.
Losing the toss and batting in difficult conditions where the ball swung around and everything, and to be 250 for 1 at the end of the first day against that bowling attack, you know, they'll admit they didn't hit their straps, but it still gives you a lot of confidence in the team to show that we can do it throughout the summer. We got to make sure we don't do what we did last year, where we had a good test at Edgbaston and came back and gave them the impetus here. You know, they bowled very well here last year, Australia, and we got to make sure that we play well here, which we haven't done for a while.
The team hope the opening of the new Lord's grandstand will stimulate more home bias at headquarters.
This is a lovely place to play. I think that people who watch England would understand that we need support like everybody else, and I'm certainly not in for people running onto the ground and dressed up as this, that and the other, or with nothing on at all. But I think genuine support for your team is very acceptable, and just to say that at Edgbaston, as usual, we had terrific support.
Barry, what do you reckon about this theory about England not performing so well at Lord's and the visitors being more inspired by a visit there?
I mean, I'm sure it does happen because, I mean, every boy's dream around the world is to play a Test match at Lord's. So when it happens, I think you're all geared up for it, whereas probably a lot of the guys playing for England play there in county cricket. So it becomes another ground. I mean, it might be only a 2 or 3% factor, but I think it's a factor that it's, you know, the real excitement for somebody is to, you know, a century at Lord's just seems to have a ring about it as opposed to a century at Edgbaston. I mean, no disrespect to the ground, but it's just the heritage of the whole place. And I think everybody's, you know, busting a boiler to do something really good at Lord's.
But I loved it. I mean, I have to say, as an Englishman, I love going to Lord's, and I always found that the home crowd response was brilliant.
Absolutely.
You walked down through the long room, down the steps, onto the field, and that to me was actually worth, you know, an extra 7 inches on the chest, give or take, and you felt as though you're going to play a real game here.
Yeah,
so I don't really believe this whole
9 inches on the chest. They really are.
That's old age. I mean, I can't believe this really affects. I'm sure England will love it. Yes, we'll love it tomorrow. But going back to the first test, what did you make of the overall performance by England in that game?
They were very good. I think, you know, certainly the opening partnership of Butcher and Atherton was very professional, and they knew what they had to do. And as the day wore on, it was increasingly more frustrating for Hansi Cronje, and I really think that they realised that. And I mean, I think that's what Test cricket's all about, is realising when you're in the ascendancy and to try and make sure that you build on that and get yourself into good positions. And I think they did that particularly well. I think everybody played their part. You know, Dominic Cork coming back, took 5 wickets, bowled very well. And I think Angus Fraser, as always, was very reliable. And that they showed what could be done with a bit of patience and really thinking about what they should be doing.
One question, what about the captaincy? New captain, Alex Stewart, first game as England's captain. How do you think he did?
I think it was terrific. I mean, obviously it's great on your first day when you're 250 for one. But he brings a positive attitude. He played a lot of club cricket for a club that I played for in Perth, and I mean, he brings a lot of that philosophy in. He's very positive. You could see when they played in the second innings, I mean, it wasn't a particularly big total, but you could see that they were pushing for victory, and I think that sends a message to your opposition that you're really positive, you want to win. And, you know, if you can get the others on the back foot, then obviously that's going to be a real plus for you. And I think that's what they did well.
Well, let's hope that message is still there tomorrow at Lord's. The second Cornhill Test starts there at 11 o'clock. BBC One begins live coverage at 10:55. One man keen to break back into the England side is Graeme Hick. Ignored by the selectors so far this season, he has nonetheless been doing everything he can to catch their attention. A flurry of centuries for Worcestershire took his tally to around 100, a feat achieved by only 23 men before him in the history of the game. Proud of the achievement he may be, but more international cricket remains his main target, as Simon Mann reports.
In a routine county match, it was a regulation stroke worth only 2 runs, but it meant Graeme Hick had become the second youngest player to reach one of batting's most coveted landmarks.
I think it's something I'll look back on later on in life and enjoy, and not necessarily enjoy more than I have done now, but to sort of maybe sort of realise the sort of maybe the achievement that it is, and get a lot of pleasure out of it.
Does it not mean that much to you at the moment?
Oh, it does, but I mean at the moment I've still got a long way to go in my career, and it's not as if I was sort of wondering whether I was going to be getting there or not, and I still think there's a lot of cricket ahead of me.
From early on, it was clear that Graeme Hick had the ability and the appetite to join the 100 hundreds club. He seldom lost the drive to keep on going and going. Others, though, found it much harder work. Amos had to wait 10 years between his 2 career highs, a double 100 on his Test comeback, and finally, membership of the club. He was 43.
I think you've got to be a good player to achieve that, but your hungriness for runs and the energy and the appetite for batting. You play for a long time, and you look back on it and you say, what did I achieve? And it is one of those highest achievements in the game. I think possibly emphasis these days is put on more team performance than individual performance, but I always reckon that if I was scoring runs, then the side had an opportunity to bowl the other side out.
To join the club, there's nothing like a bit of perseverance.
At long last.
Spreading to Graeme. Tempted bumper and a fine hook down to the long leg boundary on the first bounce into the fence.
Like Graeme Hick, Tom Graveney knows what it's like to be discarded by England. Graveney was eventually recalled at 39. Appropriate then that one adopted Worcester man was on hand to celebrate with another.
Nipped out with a bottle of champagne. Dropped a glass in the middle of the wicket and broke it, but you know, that was one of those things. But I just said, well done, mate. Welcome to the club. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if Graeme was the last, because more and more Test cricket is played now. A lot of your top England players don't, not only England players, South African players. I was talking to Fritz Bing the other day, and he said hardly any of the South African test players play in Currie Cup now because there are so many test matches. And I can't see people playing enough innings to give them the opportunity to get 100 hundreds. Mike Gatting, I think, is about 8 away. He's got a couple of 80s this year, which if they'd been hundreds, I think might have kept him going.
Time is against him, but don't think Mike Gatting has given up just yet. Why do you think he can be found warming up for a game against Oxford University on a dreary Saturday with players half his age? Gatting will retire at the end of the season, but he hasn't ruled out a comeback next year.
I hope my club will allow me to coach the second team, and if I play in the second team and there's probably, if I need to, then I might just request that I might play at Oxford or Cambridge or something. I've only ever got 3 against them. Where other people I think have cashed in quite regularly. I've managed 3 against this lot, so I don't suppose anybody would mind me getting 2. It'd be a bit of a disappointment, I suppose, getting to the last 2 perhaps against Oxford or Cambridge, but you know, perhaps that might be a way out, I don't know, but I'll be very happy that if I can get to 98 this summer.
And that's it.
If he doesn't get there, at least Mike Gatting can look back on a fruitful test career. There, he has the edge over Graeme Hick. But Hick believes his test career isn't over yet.
If I didn't think that, I wouldn't really bother about playing or bother about trying to bat so well. It is my ambition to get back in and try and finish an international career on a reasonable high. So that is my aim.
Well, Barry, it looks as though Mike Gatting is desperate to get there, and he was apparently furious yesterday. He was out for 62 at the pass, 62 in 62
I wouldn't like to be in the dressing room when he came
off at the end of it. He's keen. It seemed that through your career, you weren't quite so keen.
I mean, not that I wasn't as keen, but I mean, I think there's too much put on stats. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, personally, I think they should all be thrown out the bloody window unless you win the game, because that's what you're playing for.
And well, we're not going to throw them. We're actually going to put some stats up for you. Let's have a quick look. So Hick there 101 hundreds, 108 50s. B. Richards 80 hundreds, 152 50s. I mean, simple conversion of a few of those.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd have made it easily.
No, well, I mean, I'll give you an example. We played at Cheltenham and somebody dared me to try and get 100 with a 6, and I got caught at deep long off, of course, for 94. But I mean, I just didn't. I didn't.
Who was that? Was that Mike Proctor? Someone. There must have been some friend of yours.
No,
abroad.
I mean, we used to go at each other when we played county cricket. I mean, there were lots of examples of. I mean, I believe that a batsman's the entertainment value. I mean, I couldn't grind out runs like a lot of others do. 250 not out in a game, which doesn't matter. I mean, to me, it just seems absolutely pointless. I'd rather make 43 on a bad wicket and have a chance of winning the game than 250 on a flat wicket, knowing that there's going to be.
There were no bad wickets at Hampshire.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting stat, that, because I mean, I think Hickey's probably the fielding is much better today than it was.
Actually, having looked at it, I'm only there for embarrassment's sake. That's my producer's fault. But Don Bradman there, I mean, that is the outstanding statistic there. Just 300 odd innings. I mean, 1 in 3, it's ridiculous.
I think you've got to put him apart from everybody else. The interesting part about his is that for every 100, there's half the number of 50s. Mine's the other way around. So, I mean, I think with Hickey, though, the fielding was probably better, but we had uncovered wickets, as you know, in those days, so that probably balances out. So, I mean, I think it's a matter of, I mean, you take that conversion rate of over 50, you know, it's quite a high, you know, the percentage is higher. So, I mean, you can look back and say, okay, if it was going to be, they make such a big deal of 100 hundreds, but it's only a page in Wisden, and you only bore your grandchildren with it.
I'm not sure about that. I think quietly you regret it just a little bit.
I do. I mean, I do. I mean, let's make no bones about it. When you suddenly realise you got that close. I mean, I retired from county cricket when I was 32.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't play. You know, there was probably 6 or 7 years I was reasonably fit, so I could probably have played on. But, yeah, I mean, it's a regret. I don't disagree. But I think there's too much emphasis put on stats and not enough emphasis put on winning the game.
On how you play. Well, there's a lot of discussion earlier in the year about the England captaincy at the start of the season. One thing being generally agreed, it's a tough job for anyone to take on. But what about county captaincy? Judging by the turnover of county captains in recent years, that too is a job for which only the strongest need apply. Steve May investigates.
You know, there was a time in county cricket that once you were appointed county captain, you could expect at least 10 years in the job. But now it would appear that the short walk from the square to the job centre is becoming a well-trodden path. Research in the latest Wisden Cricket Monthly has shown that there's been a tremendous turnover in county captains since 1995. 7 counties have appointed 3 club captains in the last 4 seasons. The rest have had at least one change. Except one, Essex. Amazingly, Paul Pritchard, now in his 4th season at Essex, is the longest-serving current county captain.
When you first take over the job, I think you bat every ball for everyone, and you're constantly thinking about everything in the field and how to improve, etc., etc. You go home thinking about it. Well, certainly I did anyway.
So you take the job home with you, effectively?
Yeah, certainly at the start I did. Yeah, I mean, I was very, very keen to do well. I put myself under a lot of pressure to emulate Fletcher and Gooch and the likes.
Essex have had just 5 other captains since 1950. Gooch, Fletcher, Brian Taylor, Doug Insole and Trevor Bailey.
Those were the days.
Bailey believes that expectation has intensified since his days as captain.
Well, I think demand for success, I mean, they've now got... Life is much easier in some respects for a captain because there are 4 things to go for. We only had 1, and by July you'd got a fair idea you weren't going to win that. Now you can be a fairly ordinary side and win one of the limited overs competitions. You've got to be a good side to win the championship, because that's a rather different game, but in limited overs cricket you can win it with not all that good a side if you've got one very fast-scoring batsman who always succeeds and a tight bowling side.
The growth in competitions means that every county starts the new season with expectations of winning at least something. Paul Pritchard has last year's NatWest Trophy in the bag. Elsewhere, it appears that Warwickshire's gamble on appointing Brian Lara hasn't brought instant success. And at Sussex, Chris Adams is being paid a massive salary to revive last year's wooden spoonists.
There are burdens with the job of captaincy, and it's what I wanted. It's a challenge. It takes up a lot of my time, but I'm just pleased to be where I am right now.
The Sussex story is becoming an increasingly familiar one as counties demand silverware. Adams in to replace Peter Moores, who was given just 1 season as captain after long-serving Alan Wells was sacked following 5 trophyless years. As a result, Wells decided to leave and crossed to Kent. He feels that the captaincy has become too much of a responsibility.
Personally, I think that it would be better if the coach was in charge or the manager was in charge and the captain was just left to sort of look after the side on the field, have an input in selection, obviously, but just sort of look after tactics on the field and let the coach or the manager run everything off the field. And in retrospect, looking back at my term as captain, I think that would have been better. That would have been better for me. I know, for example, that Ian Salisbury was offered the captaincy of Sussex at the time that I was leaving, but he wanted to concentrate on his bowling. He didn't want to have to think about another sort of 22 other guys, which you have to do to be a successful captain. He saw the pressures that went with the job, and at his stage of career wasn't interested in them and wanted to concentrate on his bowling, on his cricket.
Of course, there is still some time for relaxation for today's cricketers, one way or another. But how much easier it seemed in days gone by. Colin Ingleby Mackenzie was captain of Hampshire when they won the championship in 1961.
Have you had any more illuminating thoughts on the very serious subject, Colin, of team discipline?
Discipline? Oh, Peter, I had a feeling this might come up. Well, I personally think probably it's the spirit that gets us there in the end.
The team spirit?
Well, I think the gin spirit.
Paul Pritchard knows that his county expect another trophy this season, but both Essex past and present agree there's only so much a captain alone can do.
A team is important as a captain. I mean, a lot of people are judged on how successful you are, and that's not necessarily right.
Because however good a captain you are and however well born you are, you will never do well without bowlers who get the other side out and batsmen who score a lot of runs.
Well, that sounds reasonably straightforward, doesn't it? But the thing about captains in this country, a lot of the time in county clubs, you end up organising the players, selection, man management, travel. There's so many things that seem to come into the job. You were a chief executive at Queensland. Is it any different for a state side, for a Shield captain?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, was it Alan Wells who made the point that, he's basically on the field captain. So he's there to control the players and control the game as he sees it. for the 4 days of the Sheffield Shield game. In between times, it's the coach's job, and that's what he gets paid for, is to make sure that the practices are right, and you know, the travel to wherever they're going is in order with all what they want. So I'm sure the captain has input into that, but it's mainly on the field and the tactics on the day that the captain, and especially on the field, that the captain's involved with. All the off the field is taken away from him by the administration.
What do you think about this concept nowadays of cricket managers, coaches who are active, very active through the day's play as well?
One or the other, and I think a lot depends on who that is. It's like a player, I guess. I mean, a good player is always going to be worth his weight in gold, and so will a good manager or a good coach. They'll be worth their weight in gold. Sometimes I think there's a support staff of everything. I mean, you've got everybody. You've got the clock watcher, and you've got. I mean, there's just. I think if you've got good support staff, then they're invaluable. But you know, just to have them there is sometimes, I think, gets in the way.
Well, it's a help if it makes the job any easier. Now, last month we hardly tested you at all with our first competition when we asked you to name 3 South Africans who had played for England. They were. And the winner is Michael Kirkman of Preston, who will be coming to Old Trafford as the guest of Cornhill. And 5 runners-up will be getting copies of Simon Hughes' book, A Lot of Hard Yakka. This month the competition is only a tad harder, and we'd like you to identify these 3 eminent South Africans who all made their mark here in county cricket. The first prize is a bat signed by both teams at Lord's. All you have to do is ring 0891 555 355 and record your answer. Calls cost 50p a minute and the competition ends on July the 10th. One man who might feature in future quiz questions is Ben Spendlove, who came in as the 12th man for Darren Gough in the first test and promptly picked up 2 catches. The 12th man's role is not normally so involving and can even turn a man's mind to poetry of a sort. At least that's what happened to Eddie Butler as he researched the role.
The team list is posted on the back of the door. An 11 from heaven, no weak link, no flaw. 5 batsmen, 4 bowlers, keeper, all-rounder. The perfect blend couldn't be sounder. But at the back of the room, stuck on the shelf, is the one left out, the man called 12th. There are 11 who can, and the also-ran, who may join the game as a sub with no name, who may join the fervour as a drinks server. There are 11 who can, and then the 12th man.
It's not like sitting on the subs bench at a football game, is it? There's no chance of real involvement apart from a bit of scampering, a bit of fielding.
Yeah, that's it. It's very relaxed. You've got to keep your eye on the game during the day in case any players need anything. And if the possibility of someone gets injured, then that's the only thing you do. You've got to go on the field for them. But,
Dog's body. Sort of life, cricket life without glamour.
Yeah, it is indeed. I've just been asked to get the lads 2 jugs of drinks now, so that's my first duty of the day. 19 after 15, I'm not sure if they want drinks. They haven't done much running around, have they?
Paul, the men in white have taken to the field, and here you are, stuck in yellow. 12th man.
Certainly am, yeah. It's a bit of a surprise. I mean, normally I would be out there, but for various reasons, I've been left out today.
Yeah, it was all very casual, wasn't it? I mean, how long before the game started did you find out?
It's normally, I mean, normally it's half an hour, 45 minutes before you warm up as a team, and then the team's decided upon, and then sort of everybody's made aware of who's playing and who's not playing, and then obviously the toss is made half an hour before they start to play. So.
Not the toss to see who's 12th man.
No. I think it was today though. I just on the way round to see Franklin Rose. He's called for a drink. It's not quite the same temperature over here as the West Indies, but it's thirsty anyway, so I better get on my way.
You can't have done this for quite some time. Do you know what you have to do?
I think I've forgotten now. I've not done it for a while. I mean, in my younger days, I was at Derbyshire for 4 years, and I was 12th man a lot during that time. But in recent years, I've certainly not done it. But I think you're just general dog's body for the team, really. I think that's basically what the idea is. You know, fetch and carry, and keep an eye to make sure nobody wants anything. Coke? Yeah, I've got no Coke.
Is it clear Coke?
That's lovely. You get that down, you'll go quicker than ever.
What flavour? Orange?
You got me on the go, running to and fro, looking high and low. I don't know if I'm coming or going.
This is for our coach.
Well, I don't know whether one of the lads had a bad night on the town last night, but they're asking for headache tablets already, so I better get out to them.
As a former Test player, Paul Taylor is allowed to make a dignified exit at lunchtime. He hands over to a 13th man.
Many congratulations, John.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be a highlight in your career.
Yeah, I think it's called short straw, isn't it?
And from a baker's dozen, Northampton even stretched to 14 with a fielding sub. The minor counties, meanwhile, stick with their original lineup.
Thanks for that orange, it was lovely. There's a few duties. I mean, during the lunch interval, I was out there with a baseball mitt, taking catches for the bowlers, just so they could warm up. The wicket keeper said to me before, he says, I might need my sunglasses and I might need my cap. You know.
You worked off your feet, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
The end of the day's play, most people's work is finished. But the man who has waited all day must carry on waiting.
Well, I suppose there are all sorts of scorecards in cricket. I've got the proper one, you know, runs, how out, and you've got what?
I've got the after-match drinks list here. There it is. And I've just been handed it to me about 2 minutes ago, and all my players are out there. And I've no idea what they drink.
But a closer play drinks, I mean, that is what, 1 G&T and...
Yeah, whatever they want. Pint of lager, gin and tonic, Guinness, whatever they fancy. Oh well, that's it for the day. Just tidy up now. End of the day's play, I'm still fetch this, fetch that.
What a job that is, and I can't imagine that Barry Richards ever had to do it. Say nothing. Now, we heard earlier about England's supposed problems at Lord's. One man who seldom had any trouble motivating himself there was one Ian Botham, who, 20 years ago, put in one of his more remarkable performances, even by his standards. I apologise for the left-hander sweep shot and the hairstyles prevalent in 1978.
That's a good shot. That's a beautifully timed stroke for 6. They need to chase that.
That's driven fiercely once again for 4 runs. Beautifully built young man and using every ounce of his wonderful physique. And that could go through. He's beaten one, it's beaten them both, and it goes through for 4, and again the Botham bat is held high up, and what a record this young man is establishing. That's his 3rd Test match 100. It's on his 7th Test match.
Ah, that's gone. Well bowled, Ian Botham.
Edged away and beautifully caught again. That's the perfect outswinger.
Oh, what a good piece of bowling. Well, it's a great over, this, and the perfect culmination for Ian Botham. And he's gone. He's picked up his 4th wicket, and Wasim Raja driving a little too early. That was a bad shot. Good catch by Bob Taylor.
And he's caught it, and it's another very good catch indeed. There's no question about that one, though. That one swung in. He's only left one stump standing, a great sight to any pace bowler. And that's it, and the Test match is over. And what a Test match this has been for Ian Botham. His final figures here, 8 for 34, all that following a magnificent 100 on the first day.
Well, I'll tell you what, he did make it look very easy, didn't he? Runs and wickets, just on the fingernails, not a problem.
Yeah, boys' own stuff, wasn't it? Really great.
How did you get on against Both?
In fact, he played the first game. I mean, Andy Roberts hit him on the head, and he was only 18 there. And I mean, there's a lot of blokes who would have stayed down and stayed in the dressing room. He jumped straight back up and got 40, so I knew he was something special from a very early age. I mean, always a difficult customer, Both. I mean, he really was the epitome of what confidence is all about. He just believed he could do it. I mean, more than anybody that I've ever seen. And I mean, it's just wonderful that he brought that enthusiasm to his play. I mean, he was just, no situation was too difficult. And I think that was, part of his charm.
Just trying to think of an equivalent in world cricket today, and I just thought of Brian McMillan briefly. He's not in the Test side at the moment for South Africa, but he's big, he bats, he bowls, he fields at slip, and he sounds like a good man to have in a fight if you're off the field as well. Eh?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think it was slightly different in those days. I mean, Both was just something special. I mean, the sort of bloke who can make 100 and take 8 for 30 in a Test match, there's not that many of them around.
Sadly not, and it's been a problem that England have had for a long time, trying to replace it. Well, thank you very, very much indeed for coming today. That's it for this month. The late news just in is that Steve James, Graeme Hick and Jack Russell have been drafted into the England squad this morning as cover for an unwell Alex Stewart and Mark Butcher, who is carrying a thumb injury. You can email us, as usual, at gcm@bbc.co.uk with any thoughts, ideas or comments you'd like us to have. And if you feel like some sport this afternoon, Royal Ascot is currently on BBC One. As for us, next month's programme is on the 22nd of July, so until then, goodbye.